As a wanderer, I have seen many things, most of which were quite unpleasant. This universe is a melting pot of experiences, mental and physical sensations that stimulate the mind and body. I have had more than my fair share. I've seen everything, experienced everything there is to indulge in, and even so, this world in particular has never ceased to entertain me. From romantic candlelit dinners to large-scale conflicts, the inhabitants of Ifralia have a plethora of stories to tell, although that is far from unusual. From the moment anything is gifted life, we are all cursed with the same exact ailment. A paradoxical design courtesy of those responsible for breathing life into you. In order to sustain life, you must take it away from another living being. This is why every little living thing on this planet has a penchant for violence. Whether it's eliminating one who assaulted you, or even the required consumption of flesh to preserve your life, no one is exempt. It is inevitable that we would succumb to our nature, but some of us adapted. On Ifralia, there is only one species that manages to represent both the best and worst aspects of life: humans. Mankind's rise to power was brought about by two traits prominent in their genetic code: arrogance and intelligence. Of course, in every group there are exceptions, but claiming that humanity had little impact on the course of Ifrailian history would be a blatant fallacy. From mechanized machines of war to prosthetic limbs used to improve the lives of those less fortunate, humans have always used their intelligence to take hold of the elements, transforming them into something unique, something unnatural. With that, man began their descent into elitism. From my observations, the large majority of humans treat the rest of the planet's living beings as if they are below themselves, just creatures to enslave, treat as pets, or raise them up from birth in a slaughterhouse, reducing their existence to nothing more than a piece of meat on the dinner table. And I find it all very intriguing. I've seen countless worlds, hundreds of universes, and peered into the lives of millions. And even so, Ifralia still manages to keep my attention. I apologize for my ramblings. You're not here for that, are you? No. You're curious, aren't you? Would you like to take a look into the lives of those who call Ifralia home? Well, be my guest. I'll open your eyes to a world full of technological wonder, magic, and the hardships of its inhabitants. Welcome to Ifralia. Darkness was all Samuel could see. His wrists were bound to a rusty pipe holding him in place. He could tell by the feeling of the corroded metal on his fingertips. He cringed as a twinge of pain shocked his system when he tried moving his right leg. It must be broken. After all, the means of his imprisonment were far from pleasant. His only solace was the silence that accompanied him, leaving him alone to ponder his thoughts. Well, look at what we have here. A familiar male voice broke the silence. Suddenly, a bright orb illuminated the cell. Once Samuel's eyes adjusted to the sudden change in brightness, he felt as if his heart had been stabbed. Sorry for the lack of lights, the man continued as he walked into the cell. By his side was another individual, dressed head to toe in black. Floating above this individual's outstretched hand was the light source. Samuel quickly came to the conclusion that this mysterious stranger was a mage. It would draw unwanted attention if we diverted power to this old place, the man said, crouching down in front of Samuel, cupping his cheeks with his right hand. Samuel didn't speak. He couldn't. It was as if he had swallowed his tongue. The man causing such distress to Samuel was Felix Nishi. one of the leaders of Alexandria's criminal underworld. Felix turned Sam's head from side to side, examining the cuts and bruises that covered his cheeks. "Wow," Felix stated, releasing his grips on Samuel's face. "They really did a number on you, huh?" He sighed, turning back to the person behind him. "Guess they weren't as compassionate as you, Luna." The person standing a few feet away from Felix and Samuel nodded. Felix turned back to Sam. His cheerful demeanor faded away, replaced with an unbridled rage. He brought his foot crashing down on Sam's leg, annihilating the already broken bone. Sam cried out in pain, his eyes shot open. Felix felt a sadistic form of joy watching him suffer. After holding his foot against Sam's broken limb for a minute, he pulled away, giving Sam a brief moment of rest. Sam coughed and gagged. He looked up, making eye contact with Felix. He fought past the pain and managed to sputter out. "Felix," he started. "I was set up. You know I wouldn't rat you out." "Tell me." Felix placed his hand under his chin while glaring down at Samuel. "Did you know it's possible to trace a telepathic signal?" Samuel could feel his heart start beating at an alarming rate. Felix could tell Samuel was nervous. A bead of sweat rolled down his cheek. He was blinking far too often, as if he was trying to distract himself from his frightening reality. "It isn't easy by any means. No technology on Ifralia is capable of performing such a task. But this man right here, he isn't a machine." Samuel looked at the man who stayed back, once again responding by nodding his head. Samuel didn't fully understand how such a feat was possible, but when magic is involved, there's no telling what's possible and what's not. Samuel's head was grabbed and yanked forward, forcing him to look Felix right in the eyes. "You want to know what he found out?" Felix grit his teeth, suppressing his anger poorly. "Turns out, someone was sending out information on our operation. Felix, I can guess my surprise when I heard your voice giving out secrets." Felix had finally lost his temper, slamming his fist into Samuel's face. Blood spattered all over the floor. Samuel moaned in pain, coughing, spitting a tooth onto the ground. He took in a deep breath, shutting his eyes. These actions helped him regain his composure. Felix turned and walked out of the cell, stopping at the doorway. "Get him to talk. You know what to do when you're done." Felix slid the door closed and walked away. The mage creating the ball of light closed his fist, snuffing out the last, minuscule piece of hope Samuel had managed to hold on to. Just like that, gone. It was then Samuel realized that that was the last light he was ever going to see.
Hey, if you enjoy what you saw, why not actually read along with the chapters? The book is now available on Ringdom, link in the description down below.